Assalamu Alaikum, welcome back to Wealth and Wisdom. Today we look into the role of the stock market in the Islamic economic system. In our previous video we discussed how the banks will play the role of stable shareholders in an Islamic system. This does not eliminate the possibility of stock market operation or development. Islam does not forbid any form or shape of business activity unless it falls outside the sphere of Islamic Sharia. From that viewpoint, some activities of the present-day stock market will certainly be prohibited. However, any means of bringing the user and provider of capital together, whether through stock markets, banks, mutual partnerships, etc., are all legitimate as long as they follow the injunctions of Islamic economic system. It must be accepted that the general speed of loading or unloading stocks will not be as quick as in Western stock markets. The speed of operation of today's stock market is a direct result of speculative activity. There is a developed and thriving class of speculator, inventing exotic tools to play the game of hazard. Any type of gambling is prohibited in Islam. An Islamic business can never become subject to speculation. This leaves only the serious lenders and serious users of funds in the market, almost face to face with each other. The Islamic system promotes the idea of long-term stable shareholders, which leads to diminished velocity of share transfers. This might not promise a market liquidity, but it can certainly prevent events such as stock market crashes. Stock market and corporate governance. Another thing that cannot be allowed in an Islamic stock market is the discrimination of shares. A stock market operating under Islamic rules will not be permitted to differentiate between investors through various classes of shares. All investors must have rights on the basis of one share, one vote, with everyone having identical rights, no preference, no distinctions, no A or B class shares. The reputation in terms of honesty and integrity of a particular agent, mudarab, i.e. managing executive, will be the underlying strength of any listed or unlisted company's shares. Any form of business credit which does not provide time for hibernation, discussed in the previous video, for the business enterprise is not in Islam. Therefore, in the case of the creditors, it is obvious that major fixed interest loan creditors cannot exist. All long-term financing must therefore be of equity sharing, partnership type. This would naturally create in the creditor a wider concern for the business than that of repayments alone. Credits will not be advanced to one who is not expected to repay except as an act of charity which Islam encourages. In the absence of the interest factor, the worth of the credit period is extinguished, only the loss of opportunity cost may be recovered, which may be included by the lender while quoting his price. A delay in repayment due to unforeseen crises would not mean that the borrower would have to pay back more than already agreed in the contract. A long-term credit will be considered as a form of equity sharing, partnership. In case of insolvency of the borrower, creditor will get his respective share from the insolvency proceeds. If at the time of agreement, the creditor and borrower agree that the credit will not be an equity participation, then, of course, in the event of insolvency the creditors must first be paid in full, and after that, if any proceeds are left, they will be proportionally distributed among investors. It must be remembered that Islam seeks the welfare of the community, and to ensure the achievement of this welfare, it puts the responsibility both on the investors, lenders, and management, borrower, equally. An economic unit in Islam cannot be a separate legal entity. However, this does not threaten the uninvested property of the owner, borrower and lender jointly, as there is no threat of recourse for outstanding debts with accumulation of interest in case of liquidation. This is so because Islam requires the lender to participate in the risk of the business and equally to take a share in the profit or loss of the venture. Individuals may borrow upon the strength of their personal credibility to invest in a venture, but then it will be that individual's own responsibility to repay his lenders irrespective of performance of the underlying business venture. Islam is the flag-bearer of solidarity among mankind. It seeks to unite the whole human race without difference and discrimination on the grounds of race, nation, clan, class, family, etc. It wants to see the whole of mankind linked together like rings in a chain, with everything retaining its originality, individual identity of culture, traditions, habits, dress and colors, but together representing one soul, one spirit. The same would be the case in the matter of corporate governance. The Japanese system of kiretsu and zaibatsu will exist, but it will not be fortified exclusively for themselves, for it will be open, and all nations will be welcome to participate in it for the cause of mutual benefit. Germans will have their supervisory board, but it will not function solely to protect the management from going astray, and it will certainly care for the interest of minority shareholders. The Chinese may have their family enterprises, but outside family employees will be made to feel as part of the family. The French will have the dirigisite system, but it will not exist only to strengthen the ruling class. It will ensure the welfare of every individual who is part of the corporation or society. Anglo-Saxons may have the market-based system, but the presence of stable shareholders will ensure elimination of destabilizing practices. The new discovered models driven by the spirit of Islam may differ in appearances, according to respective diversities in culture and traditions of different regions, but nonetheless they will be like different pearls joined by a single string. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you learned something, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, Assalamu Alaikum.